Rahim. Auto return to home now because I cannot see plane. I'm just way too far. Man, this autopilot is doing very, very good. I'm loving this autopilot.
It's clear, man.
It's very clear, very nice OSD, very nice information. There's my plane. Activate auto return to home. Now the throttle is controlled by the AP-1. It It will climb up to the set altitude, so it will use more throttle. And it should circle around here now. Right, so my auto return to home is working properly, perfectly. Assalamu alaikum and greetings, AliShanMao here. As promised, today in this video I'm going to show you how to properly connect everything, set up and tweak the newest OFM AP-1 Lite FPV Autopilot. This is going to be a lengthy video because I'm going to show you everything step by step so you understand everything and you don't make mistake while you install this autopilot and use this autopilot for your FPV aircraft. Making a mistake for this autopilot or any autopilot can end in mysterious smoke, and that's what we don't want. So pay attention, grab your coffee, grab yourself a nice comfortable seat, grab your popcorn and enjoy watching this lengthy video. Before we continue, do remember to subscribe to my channel and hit that little bell icon so you stay notified for all the exciting upcoming uploads. So here's the OFM AP-1 Lite autopilot, and I have actually left all the accessories right here on the table. Everything that you actually need to connect to your autopilot. Let us go through it quickly. To set up this autopilot on an RC FPV aircraft, we're gonna need it to connect to your receiver. So I have a L9R from Free Sky. This is a long-range receiver. You can fly long-range FPV with it for up to 8 kilometers, I believe. I also have an MFD Link UHF receiver, which basically has a 40-kilometer range, using the MFD Link transmitter, UHF transmitter sitting right there. So I'm going to use either of these to show you how to connect your receiver to your OFM AP-1 Lite. Well, basically it's very easy because all you need is one cable for PPM or S-bus. Alright, after that definitely you're going to connect it to your servos, your aircraft servos. So I have servos here. Well, this is just to show you the pins and their layout. Then we have a GPS. I will show you how to connect the GPS, where to connect it. We have a current sensor. We'll show you where to connect the current sensor. And I also have the video transmitters. I have 600 milliwatt TS832S, and I have a 600 milliwatt video transmitter from TurboWing. Cyclops TurboWing, that's also 600 milliwatt, but switchable to 25, 50, 200 and 600 milliwatt. I also have a RunCam camera, RunCam Swift Mini, I believe, which is a high voltage or multi-voltage camera, so you can use it for 5 volt up to 26 volt. And I also went ahead with a small camera that is a kind of scenario. Well, you can also meet that scenario because you can have a camera that, because what if you have a camera that takes only 5 volt and does not take high voltage? Then how do you connect that camera to your OFM AP-1 Lite and how to use it? So I'm going to show you a little hack as well, a little trick on how to use a 5 volt camera properly without burning anything on autopilot and without burning your camera system. So this is all we're going to connect to autopilot. First off, let me show you the autopilot. First of all, let me give you a closer look to the autopilot and its pins and layout. This is going to be very, very important. So do pay attention to each and everything that I'm going to describe about the pins and their layout, and especially the positive and negative pins, so you don't make any mistake and don't burn anything on your autopilot. Alright, so this is the OFM AP-1 Lite. Once again, I'm going to be very, very honest. This is an autopilot locally available here, not internationally available, and very, very popular among local FPV pilots, including me, because I'm a local FPV pilot as well. And we are making it available internationally on my website by rebranding it as OFM AP-1 Lite, so that you can also enjoy this autopilot. Now, I believe this sticker describes everything properly. So we'll go through big things first, alright? Down here you have your input and output, as you can see, in and out, and I also have marked the red pins, which are all in the middle, ground, which are all on the lower part of this line and series of the pins, and of course your in and out signals on top of it. So this is your connection to your RC's receiver and GPS. So I have in and out marked here properly. Then on the top is the area that you have to be very, very, very careful, because a mistake in this area can give you headache and of course the mysterious smoke. All right, so starting from left, we have a current sensor, okay, these 3 pins right here, and then we have a jumper and 1, 2, 3, 4, these 4 pins in the middle. These are the pins for you to power your video transmitter and video camera, so you have to pay attention here. And then you have a camera and video transmitter, okay, camera and video transmitter, so it's in and out for your OSD, so that Autopilot OSD can be seen using the video transmitter in and out. So starting from the bottom right here, so starting from the bottom, once again, you have signal pins on the top, all of them. You have hot or positive in the middle, all of these pins, and these are the 5 volts only, so they have always 5 volt in them. All right, and of course the bottom, all the pins are the ground pins. Okay, all right, so first off, connecting GPS. All right, GPS, this is the most right 3 pins. You will connect your GPS right here. Then starting from left, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So 5 layers. So 5 lines of these pins. These are for your channel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. According to your radio configuration on Futaba, channel 1 is aileron, channel 2 is elevator, channel 3 is throttle, channel 4 is rudder, and channel 5 is gear or a switch for flight modes. So you will use channel 5 for flight modes. Now on JR Spectrum radios, you have channel 1 for throttle, 2 for aileron, 3 elevator, and 4 rudder, and 5 again is your flight mode switch. Now after these 5, you see there is a P written right here, the small P. So if you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 6th pin right here is your ppm. If you don't want to use the noodles, all those noodles to connect, I will just suggest make your life easy and just connect one cable to get ppm or to use ppm, and you can control all the features of your Autopilot using just a single cable. Then we come to the out. Out you have only 1, 2, 3, 4 because your Autopilot is going to control aileron, elevator, throttle and rudder. So once again, according to your radio control, connect aileron channel 1, elevator channel 2, throttle channel 3, rudder channel 4 for Futaba. So 1, 2, 3, 4, these 3 things will be controlled by the Autopilot to control your aircraft and provide aircraft stabilize mode, heading hold, altitude hold mode, and to control it for auto return to home. And of course the last pin is the GPS. So this is where you will connect the servos. Out 1, 2, 3, 4, you're gonna connect the servos, okay, and the GPS here. In, you are gonna connect it to your receiver. All right, okay. Then comes to the top. Your current sensor will come here, follow ground, volts, that is positive, and signal, you will connect here. And of course, once you connect your current sensor, do remember, whatever battery you connect to current sensor, it's gonna provide that volt to the Autopilot. Okay, we will get to that detail later. Then here, if you want to give your camera and video transmitter same voltage as your power battery that you're connected to current sensor, then you can install a jumper on top these 2 pins right here. Where is my jumper? Let me just install it right here for you so you can see it. Alright, you can see I have installed the jumper on these top 2 pins, and you just need to push it down later. Of course right now I'm not doing it, just to show you. You can push it down and make sure it's firmly installed there. Now once you install this jumper here, whatever voltage your current sensor has, for example if you're using 11.1 volt battery, here this jumper will simply send 11.1 volt to camera and video transmitter. If you're using a 14.8 volt battery to fly your RC aircraft, FPV aircraft, your current sensor is going to give you the same voltage down here, and the jumper will transfer the same voltage to camera and video transmitter, which will be 14.8 volt. Similarly, if you're flying your aircraft with a 6S battery, you know your camera and voltage is getting 22.2 volt. Well, in case if you don't want your cameras and video transmitter to get whatever voltage is your flight battery, you can remove the jumper and you can connect the battery to these 2 pins, the right 2 pins. So there are 4 pins in the middle, okay, right here. at the right two pins you can connect a battery, let's say 12 volt, and those 12 volts will be supplied to your camera and video transmitter. I will actually suggest using a high voltage camera. I will actually suggest using a high voltage capable video transmitter and a camera, and make your life easier. Just install a jumper here and connect your camera and video transmitter here, and it will, you know, operate properly without any troubles. Now, the question is, what if your camera uses only 5 volts? What to do? Well, the hack is very, very simple. You can connect, you can see that you have for the camera ground, volts, and input. That means the video. So connect your camera video on this pin, just one pin, and then come down, and any of these free 5 volt and ground, you can use these down here to connect to the camera and get yourself 5 volt to the camera. So this is a very, very simple hack. Alright, I hope you have understood everything. Now let's start connecting everything. So starting with the easy part, alright, this is your U-Box M8N GPS, alright, and if you look at the pin layout, ground is down, positive in the middle, signal up. Okay, there you go. Your GPS is connected. Then you have your current sensor. Once again, remember, the sticker here shows everything. Ground is at the left, positive in the middle, and signal at the right. So I'm gonna go ahead and connect it. Alright, now as I'm going to use 4S battery to fly my aircraft, and my video transmitters like this, they are high voltage video transmitters. They take from 5 to 26 volts. Similarly, my turbo wing video transmitter also takes high volts, so I'm not worried about it. And also my camera takes 5 to 26 volts. This is a RunCam Swift. As you can see on the back side, it says 5 to 36 volts. Awesome. So this is no problem with the 6S battery even. Alright, so I'm just gonna go ahead and put this jumper right on those two top pins. Okay, and just push it down a bit. Alright, so my jumper is set down here. Where is my little tool? See, the jumper is set on the top two pins, bottom two pins are empty. Now, whatever battery I'm going to connect to current sensor to fly my FPV aircraft, the same voltage is going to go to my camera and video transmitter. So, in order to connect video transmitters or cameras, you need to make sure to make this kind of servo lead or servo connector. Okay, so my TS832 has it. My Cyclops Turbo Wing has it. I'm just gonna connect the Cyclops Turbo Wing now. Okay, so this is the video transmitter, and I'm gonna connect it to the video transmitter, which is VTX. All right. I might need to cut this thing right here. One moment, because otherwise it's not gonna fit. Make sure you don't cut the cable. Yeah, been there, done that. All right. So, ground is at right, positive in the middle, and signal right here. Right, and there you go. Alright, connected. Now comes the camera. Alright, and similarly your camera need to have the same kind of cable. Now camera ground is opposite to the VTX ground, and positive is in the middle, and signal is where the signal of the video is coming there. So it's going to be very, very easy. I'm going to simply connect it right here, just like this. Okay? Alright, now let's just make our life easier and go PPM. You don't want noodles, right? So I'm just gonna find a cable for empty cable. Where are you? Right here. and I'm just going to connect it to ppm in the middle. Remember, ground is on the bottom. So 1 2 3 4 5, and the sixth pin right here is your ppm. Sixth row of the pin is your ppm. Okay, once you connect this, either ppm or S bus, if you're using an S bus, just connect it to your receiver S bus. So FreeSky L9R. Okay, I'm just gonna connect it to the S bus right here, just like this. Okay, in case you're using UHF 433 like MFD link, you want to connect it to ppm. So make sure, follow the polarity and connect it to your ppm. That's it. Your receiver is connected. Now, what is next? What is next? Yes, don't forget, you have to connect your aileron servo, elevator servo, rudder servo, and throttle. Well, I'm taking a servo at the moment, but throttle will be your ESC. So let me just, for the sake of this video, pick one ESC anyway. Alright, so let's say this is our rudder servo. Okay, so I'm just gonna connect it to rudder servo right here, and say this is our elevator servo, okay, or aileron servo. So I'm just gonna connect it to channel 1 right here. Let's suppose this is our elevator servo. So I'm just gonna connect it to, okay, and now we have pin 3, which is for your speed controller, alright, or ESC. Now, if your ESC has a UBEC, I will suggest you remove the red cable, because you don't want to do double powering right there. So our ESC with the UBEC cable removed, the red removed, will come right here. Okay, that's it. Right now it does look like a noodle, but once you look at it, it's as simple as 1 2 3 to connect everything to this autopilot, and after that you are ready to install it in your aircraft, and you are ready to tweak it using your radio control sticks only while watching the OSD with your video transmitter or live video transmission. Alright, so now you can see how easy it is to connect everything to this autopilot, and this picture should help you with everything. Alright, I hope you understood everything. See, the connections to this autopilot are super easy and very straightforward. Nothing more, nothing complex. And after that, you do not need any computer to configure this autopilot. Just connect everything as I have shown you. Put it into your RC aircraft, FPV aircraft, configure your radio control, which is going to be our next step. I'll show you what to do and how to do, and then power it up, watch the video and the beautiful OSD showing you everything, and tweak every aspect of your flight controller right away of your FPV aircraft and enjoy flying. So next step, of course, in this video, don't go away. Next step, I'm going to show you how to configure your radio control, what kind of settings you're going to do on your FreeSky Taranis. That's what I'm going to take as an example. And after that, I will show you how it's installed in your aircraft. And of course, after that, we will show you with the live video. And the next or last step with the live video, I will show you how to use that simple OSD parameter tweaking to tweak and set up all the parameter of this autopilot. And I will bring it for a flight right away. Alright, so next step is the installation of the autopilot inside your FPV aircraft and setting it up. Now basically I have set up and flown this aircraft. This is Mini Talon from XUAV, but still I can actually show you and give you tips of what to look for while you're setting it up. So let's get to work, and let me bring the camera closer and show you how everything is done, including the radio setup, which is my Taranis X9D.
Welcome back, AliShanMao. It's a good day to fly RC. Remember to fly hard and crash harder.
Alright, so
Throttle warning, switch warning.
First of all, let me show you how the setup is done on my radio control. So this is the Taranis X9D. I hope I can show you very clear everything. There's not much to do basically. So you go to your aircraft model, okay. Basically, the only thing you need to do first is to set up the mixes right here. So I have set up a switch SC on channel 5 that will change the flight modes, and I have set the 3-position switch, of course. So channel 5 will set the flight modes, okay, remember that. For flight modes, definitely you need channel 5 set to a 3-position switch. Okay, after that, you don't have to do anything for channel reversing at the moment. Channel reversing should be done in the end according to the stabilization behavior. Once you find the stabilization is not right, you have to reverse the stabilization channels, and once that is right, then you will go and reverse the channels on your radio control. So let me power up everything and show you how it's done. And still, I'm glad I'm not running too many cable. I'm just running one cable all the way back to my MFD link for controlling all the aspects of the aircraft using PPM. And also I'm running one more cable on the receiver that you see, which comes all the way forward to control the pan of my camera. Okay, so basically the system is much cleaner compared to the previous versions. So it's time to power on everything. I will move my radio a little farther. Turn on my poor man's ground control station so you will be able to see, and we will power on the video transmitter. Remember, as per the settings that I show, the connections that I have shown, one side is your full power from the battery, whatever battery you are using. For instance, I'm using a 4S battery right here, so my camera and video transmitter will get 4 as 14.8 volt. Remember this thing, do not burn your cameras and video transmitter. Make sure your video transmitter and cameras have support for wide voltage. If not, then as I mentioned, you have to use the jumper and provide a separate power to your Autopilot to power the camera and the video transmitter. So video transmitter on and power on to the flight controller, and we have the video. Alright, checking all the surfaces. My ailerons are right, my elevator is right, and my rudder is right. Everything is in right direction because I've set it up. Now, if you're setting your aircraft for the very first time, it might be possible that your surfaces are moving in a wrong direction because of the radio channel settings are not right or reversed. I will suggest do not touch anything on the radio reverse, but first check the stabilization. So let me show you the OSD first. Alright, so here is the OSD, and first let's take a look at OSD, and then we'll talk about other tips and tricks on setting up your aircraft. Let me add a black servo in front, something black in front of the camera, so you can actually see the OSD much clearer now. Alright, so this is all the information of your OSD. Now, in order to go to the menu, you don't need any computer, you just use your radio control, okay, and use the aileron right or left and hold it. Depending on reverse setting, it will work either left or right in the beginning, so you have to find out. But once your reverse settings are done and your plane is flying very well, you know all the settings are right, then you will know which way to go. So my menu will be activated using the aileron right and hold. Alright, you can see we have entered the menu. Now, using your aileron sticks, left, right, up, down, you can actually go to each value and change the value accordingly. Now, I have set the plane and flown it with 50% values on aileron, elevator, and throttle, and it works very well, but I would like to see if I can increase the gains and get something better response or not. So basically, it's always good to start with smaller PID settings, smaller gains, and then later take it from there. So you see, it's really very easy to set the PIDs, okay? One more thing you want to notice is that on aileron, my settings are showing -55, while elevator does not. This is how you reverse the channels while you're doing stabilization. We'll talk about it very, very soon. So throttle, next is the throttle. My plane cruises very well on 50% throttle. You might want to set different throttle according to your plane cruising capabilities. After that, your auto return to home safe altitude settings. Now, you can either make it keep, so whatever altitude you're flying, your plane will return back home on that altitude. But you don't want to do that. You want to make sure your plane climbs up to a good altitude when coming home. So I will suggest always set 120 meters, which is a safe altitude for most of the countries. Return to home value. Okay, after that, this option is to set your plane type, that is a normal plane, VTOL, or flying wing. Right now we're using a VTOL, so you will see a V next to it. Then you have your stabilization gyro initialization. Make sure your plane is sitting nice and right, and then you press and hold, and then you go in and press and hold down on your elevator, and it will start the initialization. Make sure you don't move your plane while it's doing it. Voltage, you might want to actually check the exact voltage of your battery and then enter that voltage here, okay? And after that, you can enter low voltage settings. So this is the voltage of your battery that you're flying with. Next is your flight mode. So right now I have a stabilize, manual, and return to home modes on 3-position switch. I can hold down on elevator and change to stabilize, heading lock, and auto return to home, manual, heading lock, and auto return to home, or stabilize, manual, and return to home. I do it because sometimes you want to do some aerobatics, so you can easily switch to manual and do some aerobatics. But if you're flying long range FPV, I would suggest you put it on heading lock in the center, so you can just lock heading and let the plane go in one direction. Then you have your PPM setup. Then you have your low voltage setup, what low voltage warning you want to get. And finally, you have your fencing setup. Now you have seen the fencing works really well on 1500 meter, so I'm gonna go and increase the fencing now because I want to fly much more farther. So you can basically turn the fencing off, but I will suggest that you actually keep your fencing on, and for the very first flight you keep it to 1000 meter just to test how everything works and keep everything in safe distances. So if anything goes wrong, your plane will never go more than 1000 meter. Now I've tested on 1500 meters, okay, and it worked very well, so I would like to go farther now. My plane can easily do 15 kilometer outback, so I'm just gonna go, let's say for now 8 kilometer. Okay, I'll just keep it 8 kilometer fencing. Okay, done. So this was your setup. Now you can go so this was your setup, and now you can simply come out of your setting and you are done. Now moving the radio stick to the right is bringing us to Autopilot's OSD settings. Moving the stick and holding it to the left will bring you or set your plane in auto takeoff mode. So if you look at here, this icon will turn white right after you hold your aileron sticks to the left. And that means your plane is ready to auto take off, and your plane's elevator will be slightly up. Now you can increase the throttle and throw the plane in the air. Once it reaches to desired altitude, you can just move the elevator stick up and down, and your plane will back to the stabilized mode and in your control. Now let's check the stabilization. Now this is a very, very critical step, okay, and you don't want to actually ignore it or neglect it or take it easy. This is very, very important. Make sure your motor does not have propeller while you're doing all this setup, and make sure you don't connect the ESC to the current sensor, so your motor will never work. Now, if you bank it right, your left aileron should come up, which it is doing. Similarly, bank it left, and your right aileron should come up, which it is doing. If it does not come up the right ways, you can go to the OSD settings and move the values of aileron channels to negative. As you have seen in my OSD, my aileron settings were negative. Alright, similarly, pitch the nose down and your elevator should come up. Pitch the nose up and your elevator should go down. If it doesn't, change the values in the OSD settings to negative. Otherwise, keep it to positive. Alright, these two settings you have to test because only elevator and ailerons are used for auto return to home controls on the airplane. Rudder is simply all your own control. So everything is fine. Now one last step, of course, make sure to use your radio fail-safe setup and set it to auto return to home and set it to activate, or remember the switch position to auto return to home, because if you go out of range, something goes wrong, your plane does not receive signals from radio, your failsafe will switch to auto return to home and your plane will auto return to home. Otherwise, your plane will go all the way until it reaches to the fencing settings that you have set, and then it will return back to home. So if you have forgotten to set failsafe and you went out of control, your plane will keep flying until the fencing limits are reached, and then it will return to home and back in your control range. So still it is safe in the terms that the plane will come back, but I will highly recommend you do set fail-safe settings to auto return to home on your radio and test them by turning the radio off and see your plane or autopilot switches to auto return to home or not, and then start flying it. And that is why I say in the beginning, if you forget to set the fail-safe on your radio for auto return to home, make sure to set the fencing to 1000 meter or 1500 meters, so your plane will definitely anyway come back home. But again, remember to set the auto return to home fail-safe settings on your radio control. Alright, this is it. This was just this easy to connect everything to this autopilot and set it up and tweak all the settings and parameters. It's super easy using the OSD setup and radio sticks only. Plane is ready and it's time for us to enjoy some FPV flights.